Thank you for listening. A list of content warnings can be found in the episode description. Take care. Enjoy the show. Planescape Torment, the Unofficial audio series. A narrative let's play adapted and produced by RevocerGM. Combining in-game audio with additional voice acting through dialogue and descriptions to improve your listening experience. Rediscover the amazing story of the 1999 cult classic isometric video game, Planescape Torment, like you've never heard before.
Wow.
Oh, Chief, you wait till we get inside.
Sparkling fountains of glassy water shoot out along a wide promenade, misting you with the smell of bright citrus and sweet spiced fruit. Animated topiary, beautifully carved statues, and some fabulous displays of magical art flank your passage towards this great structure, the Civic Festhall, a true wonder of the multiverse. Rising up into the haze of Sigil, this feat of mortal ingenuity blooms petal-like, radiating a prismatic light that banishes the gloom of the city about you. Glorious music, voices of delight, and the laughter of the many interplanar beings congregated here makes for a dazzling wholeness of experience that hums with a vibrancy beyond physical sensation. As you pass under the main archway, whose intrados even overwhelms you with awe, painted to resemble a canopy of autumnal trees struck by shafts of golden sunlight, you hear a small, high-pitched voice that pulls you abruptly back into reality.
Sir?
And see a small, neatly dressed boy.
Sir, might I have a word with you?
The slender young man approaches you, a somewhat nervous expression upon his face.
1,000 pardons, sir, but I'm looking for a certain man, and I think you might be able to help me.
Oh? How so?
Well, I'm a messenger, sir, who seeks a man it said cannot die. A scarred man for whom death is nothing but the most trivial of annoyances. You match the admittedly vague description I was given, sir, and I had wondered if you were he.
How old are you?
I don't see how that bears any relevance to what I just asked, sir. Are you the man I seek?
Yeah. I am the man you're looking for.
A message for you then, sir. Mistress Jolmy of the House Searmer, a lady of high standing, has sent me. Mistress Jolmy would meet you within the Civic Festhall, where she would make a proposal, of which I know nothing to you. That is the extent of my message, sir. Farewell.
Wait, what does she look like? Inside, the arboreal theme of the entrance continues, with golden boughs branching out to a ceiling resplendent with gilded leaves and hung with sparkling chandeliers of crystalline fruit. This place is breathtaking. Hundreds, if not thousands of sensates, musicians, adventurers, and pilgrims from across the Great Wheel stream in and out with looks on their faces that range from ecstatic joy to the deep contemplation of ideological turmoil. All can be seen walking amongst this crowd, some in fine gowns, others in brutal war gear, any who seek the sensations of the plains with a breadth of choice beyond imagination. Towering above all those around him, a glittering giant of a man stands on a dais near the entrance. His skin is sparkling under the lights, and his dazzling smile beaming to all passers-by, whom he greets with bountiful delight.
Welcome to the Civic Festhall, traveler. We are Splinter, doorman to the Festhall and priest king of Ur. Please enjoy the wonders in this palace of knowledge, experience, and sensation. I am here at your service should you need guidance.
Thank you. I'll be sure to ask.
Good to be back again.
Martin the Headless rocks slightly in his steel box under your arm.
Yeah, so what is it that we're looking for?
Oh, what, my body? Ah, well, it shouldn't be too hard to find. I'm normally just ambling around, you know, lumber here, lumber there. I'm not a sensate, mind you, but I do like to watch all the different sorts of people milling about, so I usually stay here by the entrance.
Right. Well, what can you tell me about this place?
Oh, the Festhall? You don't know about it? Well, it's the faction quarters of the sensates, and perhaps more importantly, it holds their sensorians.
Sensorians?
Yeah, you know, the Society of Sensation. They race around trying to experience everything, collecting the various feelings and sensations they find, and then record them into stones. The doorman can explain it a bit better, I'm sure. Oh, there it is. That's my body.
You see a figure stumbling about, their motion jolting and erratic.
I'd say there, old chum. Over here.
The figure lurches about at Martin's voice and begins to approach, awkwardly bumping into all manner of sculptures and people on its way. It wears a neat silk jerkin with a fine dueling cape pinned at the breast, and upon its shoulders is a skillfully carved wooden prosthesis. It tilts its replacement head down towards the box in your hand before reaching out and taking it from you.
Oh, much better.
The body hugs the steel box tightly.
Yes, I missed you too.
The body tucks the case under its arm and bows to you.
Thank you, good sir. I imagine my body here was getting a bit restless without me.
No problem.
And to that matter, you certainly deserve some sort of reward for your trouble. Let's see what I've got now.
The body fumbles about in its pockets and presents you with several handfuls of silver coin.
Not much, I'm afraid.
That's all right. Farewell, Martin.
Farewell, Cutter. Enjoy the Festhall.
Looking around, it is quite overwhelming, and you're not entirely sure which specific thing you're supposed to enjoy first. This grand atrium opens into multiple theaters and galleries, and spiraling staircases climb above to an array of tiered platforms decorated with hanging gardens. The large doorman seems to sense your uncertainty and pivots upon his podium, giving you a gracious bow. He calls out to you, his voice resonating across the space effortlessly, as though he were just a few feet away.
Is it aid you need, traveler? Please, I am here to oblige.
How can you help me?
We can do many things in this fine hall, traveler. We can answer questions a guest might have regarding this place or its inhabitants. We can guide members and visitors alike to the sensoriums, or perhaps recommend one of the lecture halls. What is it that you wish to experience?
What lectures are there to attend?
The Festhall's current speakers include Death's Advocate, who speaks of the end of life and what is beyond. Three Planes Aligned, who speaks of the balance of belief and ideology within the Great Wheel. And Gisis the Crooked, who speaks of his experiences in the Blood War.
Gisis the Crooked. Where is this lecture held?
In the Yellowwood Theater. You can find it down the leftmost passage at the end. It does not start for a number of hours, though. Perhaps you might enjoy one of the deprivation chambers while you wait. There is nothing better for a busied mind.
Thanks. There was actually someone I was looking for.
Who was it you were seeking, traveler?
Mistress Jolmy of the House Sirma. It turns out this Mistress Jolmy had secured a private meeting room within the faction halls and has been eagerly awaiting your arrival. A few masked attendants stand either side of her, wearing strange papery overalls, as she sits poised behind a large conference desk that has also been spread with large sheets of paper. She herself is dressed in fine silks, but her face is veiled such that it hides all above her dark painted lips. Apparently, she desires the opportunity to experience taking the life of another and has heard rumor of your unique condition.
So, are you open to discussion on the matter?
But why?
But why not? I thought it might be an interesting experience, paying someone for the privilege of murdering them. When I first heard rumors of your existence, how could I resist? So, what is your answer? Shall we discuss the matter in greater detail?
Oh, one moment. Where did you hear these rumors?
One hears all sorts of things in the Festhall. How could one not eventually hear of a man like you? Again, I ask, will you consider my proposal?
Yes. Let's work out the details. The whole affair is over in moments. After a short discussion, she agrees to your price, and in exchange is permitted to drive a dagger into your heart. By the time you've recovered, she's already cleaned her blade, and her attendants have rolled up the blood-stained sheets. She hands you a few rolls of both gold and platinum coins.
Somewhat disappointing, I must admit. Well, coin well spent nonetheless. Farewell.
Yeah, farewell. You kill the next few hours, wandering down the corridors that link between the various rehearsal rooms, studios, and many small social areas spread throughout the Festhall. There is no shortage of diorama displays or artworks to admire, and there's a whole hallway filled with scratch-and-sniff statuary, modeled after the various life forms found on one of the prime material planes. You even find what you'd thought was a living statue, but turned out to be an earth genasi meditating upon the Way of Stone. Awkwardly, this wasn't made apparent until you'd given sway to one of your more intrusive thoughts and struck the statue's lifelike visage. He was gracious enough to accept your apology, and even gave you some pointers in improving your form. Eventually, though, you shuffle into the low-lit Eloeth Theatre, a modest auditorium that encloses intimately around a thrust stage in the center. A low table with a jug and glass of water is set, pulled beneath a harsh spotlight. The audience hushes in anticipation as a squat, hunched man is wheeled onto the stage, blinking into the light above.
Thank you. Afternoon.
There is a long, strained pause as the man scratches at a ragged scar beneath his collar, before he eventually releases a sigh and drops the tension in his broad shoulders.
Right. Now, listen up. This seminar on the war. If you're here to listen about the Blood War, take root. If you're not, you're in the wrong hall, and you'd best hump your soft, comfort-loving Sigillian limbus thumbs out of here.
Oh, the Blood War. More boring than listening to a governor recite laws. Let's find some young sensates who need to be indoctrinated in the ways of passion. No, Mort, I want to hear this.
And further, if you're Tanari or Beatsu, hump your scaly hides out the door. He's not letting your ornery bastards bend an ear to this and then listen to your barmy arguments. Because this is no discussion on who's right. It just tells the Blood War from the human point of view. I's not promoting one side or another, because they both stink in different ways.
Behind you, you hear the clunk of something large leaving the theater.
So, what's left here are wanting to listen to some Blood War stories, tales about the war. Here to hear the horror of it all, no doubt. The floating fortresses wove and weaved a human skin. The plains, wide battlegrounds, the Blood War be fought on.
He bares his yellowed teeth.
Tales of fiends locking fangs with other fiends. Well, let me peel back your lids and crack your bone boxes. 'Tis all a steaming heap of barmy nonsense to be dwelling on that forged dung.
He spits in derision, rolling his eyes wildly.
I'll tell you this, though. You can't imagine the scale the Blood War is fought on. Nothing you've seen heard, or participated in. Nothing compares. Time, numbers of legions, sheer bloodshed. Nothing compares, Burks. To try and imagine it, forget it. My advice? Simple. Stay away from the big bloody mess altogether. The only thing he needs to know is this. Fiends are killing fiends. Beitsu was slaughtering Tanari are butchering Beitsu. Right now.
He spits again.
Neither's winning. I don't think either can. Biggest stalemate this side of eternity. Thank the powers. That's it.
He shrugs.
That's it. I'll be answering any questions you got for me now.
What started the Blood War?
You got a right to be curious. What started this big old sodden soupy mess in the first place? What set the fiends to locking horns in the first place? Biting and clawing at each other until that was the only reason they were alive. Simple. They met. Tanari and Beitsu crossed each other one day, and like two drunken bigots, they set to fighting. That's simple.
Gisis frowns.
No, well, no. Like that. Imagine two drunken priests who believe each knows the only way to live. Now, make those priests ripped with scales and fangs and horns and a cruel streak 7 leagues wide and put them in an itty-bitty sodden cell. And then you have a good idea of the love that can spring forth. And there you have it. The origin of the Blood War.
Why are two evil races fighting?
Well, one believes evil should be nice and orderly. One believes evil should be chaos, running, rampant across the plains. Both evil, but doesn't mean they can agree on anything. Bad blood, bad blood. Each wants to exterminate the other so bad that only their brand of evil remains. They hate each other like...
He wrings his rough, calloused hands together, searching for the right words.
Well, you see, they don't hate like we hate. We don't even know what hate is. We have one word for hate. They have thousands upon thousands. Their meanings twisted and piled like bodies. That's why they fight.
What do you think would happen if someone stopped the Blood War?
You can't make any biting difference in the war. It's too sodden big. You're a stone, a pebble in an ocean that's a pebble in another ocean, which is a pebble in another ocean, and so on and so forth till the stench nose come home. As a pebble, your goal is to be not noticed and sink to the bottom with the rest of the dregs. If you could make a difference, which you can't, you shouldn't try, because then the planes would tumble on down.
The planes would tumble down. Why?
He holds up his hands like pillars.
The war's like a big bloody support beam propping up the planes. You kick it down, and a lot of the planes would come tumbling down with it. A lot of baggage rests in the back of the war. The biggest, nastiest pack animal on the plains.
He grins cynically.
Besides, as some say, war's great for business.
He then suddenly looks as if he might cry.
Yeah. Never you mind that. Another question.
Are you all right? You seem pained.
Aye. Listen, Cutter. I'm no priest, nor would I want to be one. But hear this. Keep evil out of your heart. When you die with evil in your heart, your spirit falls into the lower planes, where you become a petitioner. Any guesses what happens then? Petitioners in the Abyss and Beator get twisted into foot soldiers and get to fight in the blood war for all eternity.
He chuckles, shaking his head. How does one get hired into the Blood War?
You know, every once in a while, some leatherhead Burke comes around asking about a job in the Blood War. They want some jink. They want a quick stint. And then to get along with their lives. Mayhap I was one of those leatherheads. Mayhap I was a sellsword, and heard there was a little jink to be made in the war. Got me interested. It taught me a lesson, it did. We're like ants, running around the heels of dancing sodpike gods. I saw big men who claimed to be big soldiers. Paper soldiers. War is a furnace for them. Makes them wake up or burn.
So, how do you survive the Blood War? He tilts his head down, the spotlight casting deep shadows over his face.
Well, that's the one thing I won't speak of. Suffice to say, a man does what he has to do to escape the war.
Let me ask you about something else then.
What's your question, Cutter?
Where is the Blood War fought?
Plenty of places. Usually the lower plains. Anywhere along the River of Styx. The 9 layers of Beator, the 4 furnaces of Gehenna, the Grey Waste, cold red Carceri, the prison plain, and the piking near endless well of evil that's the Abyss.
Can you tell us about the Grey Waste?
Aye. It's also called the Glooms.
He shrugs, and then shivers as if by reflex.
Grey, in every sense of the word. Colors burn your eyes there. They shout, are too loud, and your dreams are pulled to the surface and poured in the ground, lost forever. Only the night hags rule there, the Grey Ladies of the Waste.
What sort of forces serve in the Blood War?
All sorts. Aside from various mortal Burks from across the plains, Abishai, and Cornagons, Lemurs, and Nuparibo, Succubi, the list goes on and on.
Succubi? Well, doesn't sound too bad.
Aye. Succubus are lovely on the eyes. Quite different to the other fiends snarling and chomping. And just as you feel on the brink of madness, no hope left, nothing to cling to under the bleeding sky, such a lovely creature appears, offering you a moment of respite, a brief nicety, your limbs shaking with exhaustion, your heart heavy with all you've seen. What more could you want? What more than a lovely, warm body to comfort you? They open their arms to you, not minding the stink and the blood in your breath. Aye. Lovely. But dead evil. A bird gives in to a moment in one's embrace, and they drag him off into the abyss, their soul howling from their lungs. More petitioners, more fodder for the war.
Can you tell us anything about the Tenari?
The chaos, the ones with whim and whimsy in their hearts. Trust or upholding their word. Aren't I on their list? Now, the Tenari pay better than the Beitsu. But you need to be 2 or 3-faced and have a bunch of eyes sprinkled all over your body, because you can't ever turn your back on them. They don't care what happens, so long as something happens, and 'tis evil. Mostly they attack the Beitsu to keep from killing each other.
And the Beitsu?
Well, they don't usually pay as much as the Tenari, but they don't break their written word. They're smart, though. Several hundredfold smarter. And they've been making contracts since time began. They plan like bastards. They put more thought and preparation into a single strategic skirmish than most human armies devote to an entire campaign. They usually assemble their forces on Avernus, the first layer of Beator.
What's Avernus like?
Avernus? 'Tis inhabited by the damned, and those that prey on the damned. The red-flecked lands of noxious sands and blistering fires that scream across the landscape. That was my taste of Beator, the lair of Avernus. Terrible place.
So, you'll tell us no tales of the Blood War?
All right. 1. Let me give you an example of what meat means to them. They'll get some mean-spirited mortal mercenaries together, maybe a drop of a few million strong, and let them slaughter each other for no real reason, none at all. A pointless battle over some power's forsaken piece of land. Guess where all those souls go?
Where?
Their souls sink into the plains of evil they fought on, where they can be ripped from the soup of the plain and set to fight again as lemures or manes or wherever the biting sod those fiendish little dung heaps become. The more those sodden petitioners they get, the more troops they have.
How would one, hypothetically, survive the Blood War?
You want to know how to survive the Blood War? 3 things, Cutter.
He holds up a maimed hand with only 2 fingers remaining upon it.
First off, you stay the pike out of it. Secondly, keep yourself the pike and nails out of it. And lastly, you stay the bloody pike and sod pike out of it. If any part of the war rolls your way, let your imagination give your bum a kick and run as far and as fast as you can. If you can't run, then lies really still and pray it passes you by.
He pauses for a moment.
Except there's no place it don't touch, and there's almost nowheres you can run to get away from it.
If there's nowhere to run, why aren't there fiends fighting in Sigil?
Oh, no, Kota. Look, they have fought here. A few times. Sometimes, we get a little spillover from the Blood War. Our Lady of Pain, bless her steel-ridden heart, puts out the fires. Some of the time. There's been times, some horrifying, drizzle on yourself, you're so sudden scared times, when they've smashed and burnt and clawed their way through whole sodden city blocks in Sigil before she decides to clean house.
Why don't the fiends just take Sigil?
And don't get me wrong now. Both the Tenari and the Beitsu want Sigil fears. 'Tis the most precious staging ground in the Paikin multiverse. The cage is the city of doors and connects everywhere. You can't ignore it, and if you're serving in the Blood War and want to win, you gotta have it. 'Tis just the fiends aren't going to get it. Well, the lady's in charge, 'tis all. She's tough as nails. Her blades will cut you deeper than any fiend's fang, and that knots the fiend's stems like you wouldn't believe. One quiet lady, her hands tucked in her sleeves, holding back the blood war all by herself.
But fiends are still allowed in Sigil.
Oh, damnably certain. They can't brawl in the streets too much. So, as neutral ground, Sigil allows them to rattle their bone boxes without trying to murder each other. Sometimes they chat it up with each other here. The peace don't stay that way for long, though. They fight battles with lies and words, Burke. Sometimes 'tis all in the bluster and blather. And there's safe houses about, too. Places where they can cool their talons before the next skirmish. And they like to recruit here. Looking for boys fresh off the plains with a little greed in their hearts that they can make part of their glorious army.
He stops speaking to peer closely at you.
Mayhap they recruited you once, eh, Cutter? You look like you've tasted the war.
Perhaps.
When the war leaves a scar on you, Cutter, you'd know. And you'd know you'd never want to go back.
Your temples begin to throb as you consider the man's words, and a painful memory begins to surface. The lecture hall begins to fade from view as terrible visions begin to seep up from the depths of your mind. Visions of a place where seasons are like nothing you've ever felt or heard or tried to shut out. A place where prayers go unheard, falling like stones to the earth. Vein-colored lightning flashes across things that were once sky, but now boil beneath your feet and scream when you brush against them. You run at the head of a large band of men, passing through dark canyons where the walls quiver moistly and beat like a heart, wearing only your blood as clothing. At last, you stand in a place where the ashen grey terrain slithers like a mass of snakes, coiling around your ankles and whispering your evil to the earth. You march endlessly, silently through this colourless land, where fatigue seems to live and hunt you like a shade over the wastes, whipping you with despair. In time, you and the ragged men who follow you come upon a hag sitting upon a mound of gigantic, writhing larvae, poking at one of the slime-covered things with a broken talon. You indicate for one of the men to run forward and speak with her. The hag's grating voice carries to your ears.
I would speak with him,
She said, then cackled. Her eyes gleam as she points you out to the man.
the handsome one that leads your ragged column. I would speak with him.
And that is all you can recall.
Cutter, you feeling all right there?
Yes. I'm fine. So do the fiends recruit often?
Oh, you can be sure of that. Sigil's the best source of fodder in the plains. Beats milking planets or all their prime inhabitants. Too much work.
So, any more advice on surviving the war?
Oi, don't go through any portal unless you're quite sure you know where it goes. Maybe you haven't heard tales of clueless planewalkers stepping through a portal and ending up smack dab in the middle of the Blood War skirmish. You know why you haven't heard of them? Because those swords are dead. Dead, dead, dead. And whatever you does, never sign on for a tour of duty. No matter how much jink they flash in your mug. Certain death and signing on for a tour in the Blood War are the same thing, Cutter. Even death wouldn't be a release, because they sink you, they sink into the lower planes and get dredged back up as something worse than you were before. And they got their talons on you for all eternity.
So, dying in the Blood War would be an especially bad thing?
If you were evil, sure. If you're good, you'd go to another plane to spend your afterlife, but you'd still be a deader. Now for me, I still got a lot of evil to wash from me soul. So if I died in the lower planes, they would have had me lock, stock, and barrel.
You go to another plane when you die?
Oh, go talk to that other death lecturer if you want the darker on that. I can't explain it as well as he. Though he's twice the fool and might scold you with the hot air roaring from his mouth.
How would you get out of a tour contract?
Well, unless they don't want you, you don't have much chance. I never heard of it being done with mean-spirited recruits or someone they really wanted to keep their talons on. Outwitting a Tanaree is risky but can be done. But the Bayetsu are much more dangerous with their contracts. You sign one of those, you're damned for life. You might try a little garnish. Try and daub them, and they might let you make a run for it. But where would you go? There are so many hells.
So, again, how did you get out of the Blood War? The man's face darkens.
As I said, that's the one thing I won't speak of.
But it's just... A woman named Vrashika told me that you had to murder your own men to escape the war.
Watch your mouth, Cutter! That's a lie! A foul, foul lie! Are you barmy? Jorin with a fiend o' the war and believing her every word of it.
That's what she told me. I didn't say I took it as truth.
I'll tell you what happened, Burke. I was part of the company of the Blazing Effigy. A part of its original number was 53 mortal mercenaries. Though only 9 of us remained. Camped somewhere in Avernus we were, awaiting reinforcements for the next battle. Well, my torrid duty was nearly done then. In fact, I was to leave after that battle. The trouble was, had I died there, I would have been theirs forever. Too much blackness. Too much evil in my heart. I would have ended up a petitioner in Beator, an eternal soldier in the war.
He shudders at the thought. What happened?
Well, me and 2 other lads fled like dogs, that's what happened. We scurried across the plain for a handful of days before we came to this great pillar of living heads. An awful sight it was. They jabbered and hissed at us, calling for us to come closer. That night, I stole away from the others and went to talk to the pillar.
And Gises shuts his eyes and rubs at his temples.
I asked this pillar how I might be freed, how I might escape Beator. And it told me, in exchange for the 2 of my brothers, to me at the time, twas just math.
He nods.
Not sure I'll forgive myself. No, I'm just a soldier who's looking for a place to die, trying to erase the stain of evil. cleanse my inner geesis before I die, and return to the Blood War. I lecture here to keep people away from it all, to prevent them from ever having to make a choice like that. Right. This is the last bit then. Some of you are sensates. So's, I got one thing to say to you. Don't sign up to see what the Piken Blood War is about. Don't be a barmy idiot. Use a sensory stone if you gots to know, but stay the hells away from anything to do with the Blood War for real. 'Tis just not worth it. 'Tis...
For a moment, a look of great pain crosses the man's face. It looks as if he is going to weep.
'Tis not worth it at all. That's the end of this session. So, farewell.
Thank you for listening to Planescape Torment, the unofficial audio series, a RevocerGM production. To support the show and those involved, please consider subscribing to our Patreon or donating via our Ko-fi page. Links to both are in the description.